So we've got the mid-range style kind of slower deck per se of Marine Cess, likes to kind of be able to be good at everything, jack of all trades style of deck, and then Rika, sort of more of a powerhouse combo deck in the traditional sense of Yu-Gi-Oh, where you really do want to exhaust all of your hand, make a big unbreakable field, and then clap back on turn 3. So this dice roll is going to be very relevant here, as Jessica will be going first with the plant deck, and I think this is not as horrible of a situation because, as mentioned, as a mid-range deck, you do have a lot of disruption, you do have a lot of the hand traps, and Herman is also maining, I think, Dark Ruler no more, right?
Yeah, he's playing 3 copies. Yeah. And Unexpected Die, a great way to start things off, obviously accessing the Loshi.
Yeah, this is the 1-card combo of the deck, the small little Lokai seed blooming into a full field of disruption, negates as well as bounces and protection. So this is really Herman's time now to see, have we drawn any hand traps? He is playing Imperm as well as Ash, and also some of those field breakers as we've just mentioned. So it really is going to come down to seeing a lot of non-engine, and I think sometimes, do you think that can be a bit of a frustrating experience versus combos, that you have to see non-engine to kind of break these fields?
I mean, it's fair enough. It's in the history of the game, the way you built your deck, and I think it also makes up a big part of the decision of what deck you're going to bring. If your deck can afford to play a significant part of non-engine, I think that's obviously a great bonus, and that is what Herman has decided to go for, as you mentioned. But sometimes I would say you see more of a single decision, and here...
That's huge.
Yep. We see the Ash, as we can see Herman experience with the deck.
Oh, normal summon the twin.
Yeah.
Wow, that just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You can see Herman smiling at.
So normally drawing twin is really bad because it's, I guess you want to call it more of the garnet of the deck.
Yeah.
But in this case, because Jessica specifically didn't start with a normal summon, she actually special summoned the Lokai from the deck. It meant that you can just normal summon the twin instead. And because the... Oh, wow, this is incredible. And when you normal summon the twin, it still gets the same effect as if you had resolved the sowing. Yeah. So the Ash Blossom basically might as well have said discard this card to the graveyard.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think Jessica must be happy with this. And
yeah, it's a dream start.
Even if Herman holds an impermanence, will be not enough, honestly. Yeah. So it's
and you're really happy about the Ash. Essentially, your combo now added discard 1 card from your opponent hand kind of thing. And as you can see, she's now using this Therian engine, which I think makes sense. It adds some additional combo potential going first, obviously ending on the Regulus as an additional interruption, and why not?
I've seen this deck iterated upon and changed significantly over the years, and with the pre-Rika version all the way back to last, now was it the National before, they were playing a sort of punk version of the deck with adventure tokens, and it just goes to show just how good, like, I think specifically like the Sun Avalon aspect of the deck is, with just the single normal monster and the link climbing of Malayas and even ending on Dryad Trinitai, but not really something they do anymore. And I think actually speaking to Jessica at UK Nationals, mentioning how it's really a tight extra deck because of the Rikas at this point. So there's not a lot of ways to truly, you know, utilize some of the more obscure strategies and versions of the deck, as you could say.
And this is amazing stuff, as you can see, Longfire tributing the Lily so that the Regulus can come down.
Yeah, this is probably the last form of disruption Herman could have had a chance to use something on, as the Regulus now insulates from any other further disruptions from the hand. So really going to be potentially having to rely on drawing something like that main deck Dark Ruler.
Absolutely. He's also using 3 copies of Cosmic alongside Feather Duster, which usually are really good against the Rika deck. Obviously, the Con being the card you're afraid of, and when you draw, you know, alongside the Dark Ruler, maybe that's the only chance, but we're asking for a lot.
Yeah, that's the incredible thing about Rika as well. It's even if you do get Dark Ruler, it's one of those super dangerous combo decks where you don't just rely on your monster disruption. When you have an in-engine way to search for something like a trap card, it helps incredibly well against Dark Ruler. I mean, you know, there's, for example, the Zephyr Divine Strike, Yangzing 9-Pillar, which some people were playing in that kind of synchro pile a year or two ago. So whenever you have a big full combo deck that has the ability to search spells and traps as well, Dark Ruler becomes significantly weaker.
And here looks like Jessica was also explaining Herman something that we don't see quite often, no? Him being super familiar with it, but...
yeah, absolutely. Herman correcting
yeah.
Jessica is a surprise for sure here. But
I think it was the attempt to use the twin effect while not controlling or not having the right names in your grave or field. Because it does require you to banish, to revive. Okay, so no twin here. We're going to go down the Madan path, and this is where the super important aspect of the Rika version comes in, getting into that Con as the best way to protect against Dark Ruler, but also just diversifying your interruptions is extremely important. You know, something as simple as negate, negate, negate doesn't necessarily mean you can actually beat a deck that can push through disruption. If you're able to sort of mix that up a bit with a negate, a bounce, a steal, that really sort of like mixes up your strategy and your win condition.
yeah, and there is always that Rika Princess sneakily sitting at the bottom of the graveyard, which is even another form of interruption there. So
yeah, even further protection against Dark Ruler as it's in the grave.
And yeah, as expected, we do get the Rika sheet.
The so-called mind control, as we like to call it, where you can, using Con in tandem with it, allows you to tribute your opponent's monster for cost, and then steal another monster, either, you know, removing an important link summon, removing a normal summon body that's particularly important. Extremely powerful card. Do you like to play all-in combo decks, or are you more of a mid-range player?
No, neither.
No.
I can answer for you, yeah.
Wait, what do you like to play then?
No, him.
Oh,
I was answering for
Me honestly, I told you I would have played Labyrinth. It is my
trap deck,
play
yeah.
He's a
style.
trap guy,
It is
yeah.
my play style. Only deck I played back then, and here someone disagrees with me, is Spiral, but
Yeah,
full
Spiral
combo.
is his favorite format of all time. No, in my case, yeah, I do love combo decks, but more of not the like all-in combo decks. I do like you know, more of the grind games as well. Obviously, Zodiac. I'm biased toward toward that deck.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Did you do something with Zodiac?
Not really. Can't quite remember. Been a while.
All right, drawing for turn here. Herman has actually
Yeah.
picked up a really important card. It's Gozen Match.
Yeah.
Ooh, but actually
Ooh.
just 2 face downs and play is back. But as you mentioned, Gozen. Wow.
So, in prompting a Regulus negate here for sure. And the question is, do we have something else to pair with this? Because actually, does this matter? Because Regulus negates effects, so you can't do anything about it, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna resolve,
incredible.
and it's gonna be Herman making Alberto happy and cosplaying Labyrinth.
Oh,
wow!
Never mind. No way.
What seemed like
Pretty good.
yeah.
Full combo and Duster.
Wow. What a game one. It seemed as if Herman was able to get the game going into a grind one, but RP, Feather, Duster really closing this one out.
Well, when you do so much searching and special summoning, I guess you start deck thinning into those non-engine outs, so yeah.
I mean, it's a brutal start, obviously. Jessica, amazing combo through an Ash Blossom, and now she's ahead. Only 1 game away from locking the top spot, because as mentioned, they are both on an 8-1 record, and so they have a double chance. If they win one of the 2 remaining rounds of Swiss, they are guaranteed a place in the top cut. But now it's Herman who is gonna go first and will try to set up his Marincess combos. What do you think he's gonna side for this one matchup?
Yeah, I really hope we get to see him kind of do a little bit more than set a card and pass. But you know, there's a lot of options in Marincess. As mentioned, it's a very mid-range deck, so there's a lot of non-engine pieces you can swap in and out quite comfortably. I would assume you probably just want to put in more hand traps, right? Siding 2 copies in Nibiru.
Yeah, I mean, you can side out the Dark Lure going first, and then I think Nibiru is super powerful against Rika anyways. So
maybe Ghost Ogre for the Concon at the worst case scenario. You can use it in a few different ways against the deck, I guess, but might as well just cut those going second cards. Jessica instead has a lot of interesting cards in her side deck.
There's a couple of really important search points in Marincess, and I noticed that she's siding Droll and Lockbird. I think that could be quite
that's
important.
amazing against Marincess,
Yeah, and I think especially you need to deal with back row. It's a very common thing to play Gozen Match in Marincess. Sometimes you even play Rivalry, although Rivalry doesn't hurt the Rika deck at all. But there's a particular interaction that's actually really, really hard to deal with in Marincess. It's when you summon the Stealth Kraken in tandem with Gozen Match, as it changes all monsters your opponent controls into water. And then Gozen Match means that even if your opponent is playing any non-water deck, because, you know, for example, against a fire deck, your fire now becomes water, and now you can't special any other fires, despite the fact, you know, so it's a really, really oppressive lock that I think you're going to have to protect yourself against.
And if he picks up Gozen once again, I'm sure he will try to go for it. But now our duelists are almost done with their side deck, so we can jump right back into game 2.
Going second, Marincess definitely struggles a lot, I think, compared to, you know, some other more mid-range combo decks, I would want to say. But going first, it should be quite comfortably able to play through a lot of hand trap disruption, because there's so many ways for you to extend in this deck. You've got special summons like Spring Girl, you've got Seahorse that just brings itself into a link arrow pointing. So there's a lot of ways to keep pushing through disruption, and it's just a question of, will Jessica see one of those potential blowout cards like Droll and Lockbird? There's a lot of one-card interactions with Marincess. Let's see what Herman has here.
Looks as if it's a 5-monster end from Herman.
All right, big summon here. So Pascal's effect is able to special summon from the hand, just getting more bodies onto the field. And I think at this point, Jessica might not actually be as familiar with Marincess as Herman is with Rika. So a little bit of an advantage in that department for Herman, and he's drawn Spring Girl. Spring Girl, a really important card as well that I want to talk about, because we've mentioned a lot about the time manipulation of life points. That's very important in a large-scale tournament. Spring Girl is one of those cards that does allow you to manipulate that way. So what it does is it sends cards equal to the number of Marincess monsters you control, and then you mill off the top of your deck, and if you hit any Marincess card, it burns for 200 damage for each. So if you just start Marincess, Spring Girl, Link, you mill 1. But typically in time, you know, you want to like spread out as many Marincess monsters as possible. Hits none here.
Unfortunately, a whiff. Yeah.
So not too relevant, it's okay. But Spring Girl does get added back to the hand by the Blue Slug. At this point, you are now locked into water monsters with the effect of Blue Slug. There's a really cool interaction that I'm not sure if a lot of people have been aware of recently, but there's a new card, a Link 4 monster, Zelantis. Oh, okay, Imperm comes down here. Not actually too bad. As you can see here, Herman gets to keep going. So Zelantis is a really good go second tool for Marincess, because what it does is Zelantis banishes all monsters on the fields and then immediately special summons them back. But when you waterlock yourself with Slug, you are the one special summoning your opponent's monsters. So if your opponent is not on a water deck, they stay banished. So it just acts as like a dark hole that banishes. It's a really powerful card that's been added to the arsenal of Marincess.
And it looks like here, once again, we have been discussing this a lot this weekend. If Jessica is not familiar with Herman's deck, maybe that impermanence will not be enough, but we will soon find out. Honestly, here I think it's one of the key factors entering an event like Herman's deck, and I think it will be one of the main reasons why not only is now sitting on an 8-1 record, but you know, he has his chance to basically advance even further into the event.
So this infinite impermanence that Jessica used, if that's her only disruption, then that was probably correct to use it on specifically the search of either the field or the Marincess dive. But again, Marincess can play through sort of the softer hand trap disruptions, as we've seen here. And this is one of the newer support cards. It's Coral Triangle, has 2 incredible effects. So Marincess actually now gets to search the I like to call it the Widow Anchor of the deck.
Yeah, the wave.
Shout outs to Striker. But yeah, Marincess Wave is now searchable because of the new addition of Coral Triangle. Simply by sending a water you control from your hand to the graveyard, you can actually tutor this out of your deck. And also, if your opponent does break your field, Coral Triangle has an incredible grave effect, where you can banish to special summon Link up to Link 3 ratings from your graveyard. So it gives you a lot of follow-up as well.
We could see the Argonaut. Let's see, he has a couple of options.
So it's a little bit rough here with the Argonaut not going to be able to negate any spells and traps, I think.
Yeah,
okay,
that's why we go for the draw,
So typically what you want to do in Marincess is end on Argonaut, which basically negates a spell and trap that your opponent uses, and then it special summons one of the equips. But because Jessica, correctly so, infinite impermanence on the other Link one, the Searcher, that meant that Herman wasn't able to get to the field spell, which then equips onto the Argonauts, which is actually better to go into Bubble Reef, because during the standby phase, you can banish a water monster to draw a card. So giving you more cards after deck thinning is really powerful in a mid-range deck, as you can start digging for those all-important hand traps, especially against Rika.
Yep.
Wow, no back row.
No Poison match, and that's the only card on the field from Herman for what was, it seems like a very impactful impermanence.
Yeah, doing quite an important job there by stopping the field spell, but Bubble Reef does dig for another card here, and the question is, does Herman have enough from the hand? We know that there's a Marine Cess Wave that's been searched out. Wave is, surprisingly not just as simple as a effect negate. It's actually going to be quite hard to out Bubble Reef, as its attack points should be 38 or something. It's quite large at this point. But also Marine Cess Wave has the effect that it makes your Marine Cess monsters unaffected for the turn. So not only do you negate a card that your opponent controls, you can make your Marine Cess monster unaffected. So even if Jessica does set up a big field, it's going to be quite hard to out simply the Bubble Reef.
Yeah. Ooh, never mind. Never mind.
All right, we'll just get attributed for cost.
Yeah.
The one-off, by the way.
Wow.
Oh, very good.
Really? Oh, wow. What up, Kurikara? And that's an amazing start.
And most importantly here as well, that Herman did search out the Marine Cess Wave, which has now been turned off.
Oof.
And the Glamour.
This could be a quick one if Herman doesn't have any other end traps. This could be a brutal start of this game too, for what is a 3000 attack Kurikara now on the field, and
yeah, don't need a lot here to finish this off.
Rika Princess hitting the field.
We can probably count how many summons at this point for Herman, as that might be one of the most powerful ways he has to stop this. We're on summon number 3 as Medan activates. Always funny to hear when plant players discuss the best place to stop their deck. It is actually Medan.
Okay, but there is a Ghost Ogre from the side deck from Herman.
Ghost Ogre on Medan. Still resolves to search the field spell, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what the logic there is. I guess it probably just keeps a plant body off the field, so you can't extend with Princess, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that will be one of the main reasons. Maybe
I think Jessica was thinking about actually negating it with the Princess, Because she could have just banished or rather put it back, but instead she's gonna allow the Ghost Ogre to resolve. Obviously already activated the Glamour, so should be Con, I guess. But
I think she's debating whether or not she well, I suppose, yeah, I mean, you just go, okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
I mean, Con gets you to sheet, right? So
but yeah, but you need the Rika, so without it...
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So by Ghost Ogering the plant monster off the field and hoping that she doesn't end on a Rika, it turns off sheet, I guess is the logic. Oh, okay. Well, we've just got normal summon Loci.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
this is actually amazing.
Yeah, this is powerful. All right, so we're going to search out Sowing, activate. Does Herman have an Ash Blossom for this? Nope, he does not.
And I mean, I think most of the end from Herman is actually known because, yeah, there is an handshake.
Oh, that's it.
A quick 2-0 from Jessica.
Yeah, that's a monster-heavy hand there. It's pure Marine Cess monsters, which in a mid-range deck like this, sometimes there's no kind of relation between your engine and non-engine.
Wow. What a match it was. Obviously, Herman, amazing player. We mentioned it, World Championship competitor. But here, he was absolutely destroyed by a dominating performance. Jessica, 2-0, and now 9-1. She's guaranteed a top 64 finish. So that's amazing. She gets to play a very relaxed round in round 11, I guess. And at the same time, now Herman will have to win or maybe draw the last round to have a chance to advance to the top cut. But wow. She's just amazing with the deck. I mean, we have seen it plenty of times throughout the year. Again, another top cut finish. Maybe we can get to ask her just what the number of top cuts. I think it is an insane.
Yeah, she's topped every event.
I think
with
so,
Rick.
right?
Yeah.
Like, that's
that she has.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Wow. What a season, and hopefully, without jinxing it, she can go all the way. And you know, compared to the UK National Championship, I don't think she would be mad about a top 4 finish this time around. So.
Yeah, top 4 this time is actually pretty okay, right?
I would say so. I would say so. And yeah, I mean, on the other hand, of course, we knew about the deck. Gotta feel bad for Herman on the other side, because especially
game one
was pretty underwhelming on his side. I think he even top decked into the wave, which didn't help. It looked just for a moment that the Gozen match could get him there, but I think RP Feather Duster is a good card, right?
Yeah, to be fair, very fortunate from Jessica to get ashed on the sewing and then get a follow-up normal summon of the twin, when normally your normal summon gets used on Lokai, had the die instead. And then game 2, Herman just only drawing Marine Cess monsters, not really what you want to see in a mid-range deck.
But at the same time, we gotta say, although Jessica started the game 2 by reading a few of the cards from Herman,
credit where credit's due.
But she was actually incredible in the selection of the impermanents.
Yeah,
I think she by far hit the best target available. But obviously, the MVP has to be the one of Kurikara, which shut down the wave. And sometimes you just get those, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing at the highest level like this and both players are equally as matched or, you know, both super highly skilled, you know, you're going to need a little bit of luck, like that one of Kurikara or that one of Duster. You know, like you do need a little bit of fortune on your side to get this deep with so many talented players.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, that will just be the case as now, as mentioned, we have one more round remaining of Swiss for you guys watching. Before we will find out who the best 64 players are in Europe for 2023, and I'm excited for it. Obviously, we will be able to show you even the deck breakdown for Top Cut later on, but once that is the case, obviously you can feel free to make your predictions for not only who wins the event, but maybe who will be the other 4 representatives going to the World Championship. And I think we need a strong team this time around, and the start from the playoff was great. But
off to a good start, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for being with us. This was round 10, but without we go on a short break, we need to hear it from the winner, Jessica, and Ed is ready to interview her.
Hi guys, thank you Marcello. Yes, I am here with Jess, who's just won that round 10 feature match, now 9 for 1. Jess, congratulations. How are you feeling at this point in the tournament?
Thank you. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not for Top Cut now, so I'm like, this is where I wanted to be.
I mean, frankly, at this point, you're kind of a seasoned topper by this point, so it's been a very good season for you. You're at the Euros. Has it been a generally all right tournament so far? Well, 9-1, it's definitely been pretty good. What was the one?
I went against that rotation, and I opened all field spells and like evenly, so I couldn't use any cards.
Fair enough. It does happen. Yeah. That's always the nature of the beast of these things. So talk to us a little bit about that game. By the looks of it, Herman had some slightly difficult hands, especially in game 1. Game 2, it just seemed like you played around it. Talk us through that very swift game.
So game 1, it was quite simple. I comboed, and he just didn't have enough, and I had the out for the Gozen match. I had no to get through the Gozen match anyway, so it didn't really matter, but it was nice that I just had that. Also, I made a slight mistake with the healer combo, but it didn't really, that's my fault, because I blundered, because I forgot that I used normal summon the twin, but it's fine. Those are the lines. And game 2, very straightforward. He didn't have hand traps, he just had a bunch of Marine Cess cards, and there wasn't much he could do, really. It's like a full combo hand.
That's the thing, the second that combo starts with those Rika decks, that's it. But obviously you are a very seasoned player of Rika. Everyone refers to you as the person who taught the current European champion everything he knows. What is it that you really like about the Rika deck, and how much do you play test and things?
So, I just like how it interacts. I think I said before, I like how the blooming kind of aspects, like one seed becomes everything. But I just like how how it has in-engine outs to tribute stuff. It has a bunch of it's had a bunch of utility in the deck, and even my favorite interaction is a Dryas attacking into a monster, taking damage, and then just summoning 3 bodies out. It's just those little interactions I just really like in this deck.
Were there any of the 9 that you won that were a little bit of a struggle? Or has it all been pretty much a breeze for all the wins?
Honestly, not. I can't.
You could be confident about it. It's okay.
I don't think offhand. I can't think of like one specific match was a massive struggle. But obviously, I went to Game 3 quite a lot. But yeah, I can't think of a massive match that was like a particular struggle. But that's just because I'm probably just tired, and it's like every match blurs into one at some point when you've been through 10 rounds of Swiss.
No, that is true. And there's only one more round of Swiss, which probably means by this point you've guaranteed the top cut. I don't want to jinx it, but you know, yeah, exactly. So we'll be seeing you get into that top 64. Very exciting. I ask everyone this, but it's always worth checking. But with all these wins, it's hard to know. What decks are you nervous about going up against, if any?
I'd rather avoid Trap Labyrinth. Okay. Just because even though it's not like I wouldn't say it's a negative matchup, but it's more hand dependent. I can't do any like weird like tech plays and outplay people. Or like things like the Korokara we saw in that match, which came in really, really clutch. I couldn't use. I can't like use in that kind of matchup. So a lot of my tech, like it messes with my tech choices. But I played against it in Swiss and it was fine. So we'll see.
We will see. We'll see exactly what happens when you get into that top cut, see if you do go up against those Trap Labyrinths, but fingers crossed, you know. Very excited to see if we see you in another one of these feature matches. Congratulations again. Guys, do not go anywhere because we've got one more round of Swiss, and obviously then we're getting into that top cut. But before then, we've got some more WQP stuff for you. Don't go anywhere.